Hello students, welcome back to the channel of Mukesh's Group Tuition. Here we study circle arcs. This is the part 1, the first part of circle arcs. So how you define an arc? Arc क्या होता है? So arc, अभी suppose, look at the circle now here. So I can draw an arc here. So arc is basically a part of a circle. It's a part of a circle. So I can name this as arc AB, right? So ऐसे हम लोग सर्कल पे बहुत सारे आर्क्स ड्रॉ कर सकते हैं. आर्क इज बेसिकली अ पार्ट ऑफ अ सर्कल. इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ अ सर्कल. आई कैन ड्रॉ वन मोर आर्क हियर. दिस आर्क PQ. So you define an arc as an arc is a part of a circle. Now how do you measure an arc? So if I have to measure arc AB ka measure. Remember the word measure, I'm not talking length. It's measure of an arc. So what you have to do is, you have to locate the center there. Okay? And then if you have to measure arc AB, then you have to find angle AOB. The measure of an arc is always equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. Now any angle formed at the center of a circle is called the central angle. So ये center है, isn't it? So here the center of the circle is O, suppose. Then this angle is called as central angle. So the measure of the green arc is equal to measure of angle AOB. The measure of the red arc is equal to measure of angle POQ. So the measure of an arc is always equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. So an arc is a part of a circle. Now how do you measure an arc? The measure of an arc is equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. The measure of an arc is equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. This is the definition of minor arc. So when I use this in a sums, for example, look at this diagram. What is the measure of arc AB? So you'll write measure arc AB. Measure of arc AB is equal to measure of angle AOB. And what is the measure of arc PQ? So measure of arc PQ. Measure of arc PQ. PQ red वाला arc था, is equal to measure of angle POQ. And जब भी तुम लोग सम्स में प्रॉपर्टी यूज करोगे, you should write the reason as definition of minor arc. It's definition of minor arc. What is the definition? यही definition है. The measure of an arc is always equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. So अच्छे से याद रखो, the definition of arc. The measure of an arc is always equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. The measure of an arc is equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. Now if I rotate the whole, make one complete round, then this measure is equal to 360 degrees, right? So remember the first point, the measure of an arc is always equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. It's called definition of minor arc or it's also called as central angle property. You can also name this as central angle property or definition of minor arc. But we generally write definition of minor arc. So tell me, what's the measure of the whole circle? The measure of the whole circle is equal to dash. है ना, पूरा circle का measure will be equal to 360 degrees. The measure of a semicircle is equal to 180 degrees. If the measure of an arc is less than 180 degrees, it's called a, if the measure of an arc is less than 180, it's called a minor arc. If the measure of an arc is greater than 180, then it's called a major arc. Now remember one more point. The measure of a major arc is always equal to 360 minus measure of the corresponding minor arc. Is that clear to all? The measure of the major arc is equal to 360 minus measure of the corresponding minor arc. So suppose you have a circle here. Look at this diagram here. See here. So I can say AXB is the minor arc and AYB is the major arc. AXB is the minor arc and AYB is the major arc. So this is the minor arc and this is the major arc. So measure of the major arc is always equal to 360 minus measure of the minor arc. Clear? The next property is called as arc addition property. Notice the arc addition property. Suppose you have two arcs AB and BC. Okay, they have a common point B. B is the common point. If B is a common point between two arcs, then the measure of the whole arc is equal to measure of arc B plus measure of arc BC. So you can write the property in a mathematical form. हम लोग लिख सकते हैं measure of arc A B C. What is the measure of arc A B C? So it's equal to measure arc AB plus measure arc BC. And जब भी सम्स में यूज करोगे, write the reason arc addition property. Arc addition property. Okay. Look at this diagram now. Suppose I name these arcs as P, Q, R. So the blue arc is PQ, the green arc is QR, and the red arc is PR. Then tell me what is measure arc PQ. So in this figure, what do you get? Measure arc PQ plus measure arc QR plus measure arc PR is equal to 360 degrees. And the reason is arc addition property. It's arc addition property. Arc addition property. The fourth is a very important property. In a circle or in congruent circles, if you have two chords are congruent. So suppose you have chord AB. यहाँ पे अगर दो chords equal हैं, chord AB is congruent to chord PQ. So these two chords are equal. So अगर ये दो chords equal है, तो उनका arcs भी equal होगा. So if I say chord AB is equal to chord PQ, then the corresponding arcs are also equal. So arc AB is equal to arc PQ. So the property says congruent chords have their corresponding arcs congruent. 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 So in this figure, who is congruent? If chord AB is congruent to chord PQ, chord AB is congruent to chord PQ, then you can say arc AB is congruent to arc PQ. So if chords are congruent, then the corresponding arcs are also congruent. Okay. और यहाँ पे याद रखो जो chord का नाम है ना वही arc का भी नाम होगा. So if chord is AB, then arc का नाम is also AB. Chord PQ है तो arc का नाम is PQ. So if these two chords are congruent, then these two arcs are also congruent. Congruent chords have the corresponding arcs congruent. Congruent chords have the corresponding arcs congruent. एंड इसका उल्टा भी है, इसका कन्वर्स. रिमेंबर द कन्वर्स ऑल्सो. Conversely, congruent arcs have their corresponding chords congruent. Congruent arcs have the corresponding chords congruent. Congruent arcs have the corresponding chords congruent. So here, if I say chord, if this chord is congruent to this chord, then the arcs are also congruent. So if I say congruent arcs, suppose the name of the arcs are CD and MN, then the chords are also congruent. So who are the chords here? Chord CD will be congruent to chord MN. So if arc CD is congruent to arc MN, then the chords are also congruent. Chord CD is congruent to chord MN. So if chords are equal, then the corresponding minor arcs are congruent, and if arcs are congruent, then the corresponding chords are also congruent. Clear? So let's solve a few questions based on this now. So check this question. In the given figure, points G, D, E, F are concyclic points. Concyclic means they lie on the same circle. Concyclic means they lie on the same circle. All the points lie on the same circle. They are called as concyclic. So concyclic, remember, they lie on the same circle. All the points lie on the same circle. They are called as concyclic. In fact, we are going to learn that, write that later. The measure angle ECF is given. The measure of angle ECF is equal to 70 degrees. Now ECF, this measure is given as 70 degrees, right? They have given this measure as 70 degrees. Then measure of arc DGF is equal to 200 degrees. The measure of this arc is 200 degrees. The green arc is given as 200 degrees. Now ये ऑरेंज वाला एंगल 70 है ना, तो ऑरेंज वाला आर्क भी 70 डिग्रीज होगा. डेफिनेशन ऑफ माइनर आर्क, राइट? सेंट्रल एंगल प्रॉपर्टी सेज द मेजर ऑफ एन आर्क इज इक्वल टू द मेजर ऑफ इट्स करस्पॉन्डिंग सेंट्रल एंगल. तो ये भी 70 होगा, है ना. तो ये फाइंड द मेजर ऑफ आर्क DE एंड मेजर ऑफ एंगल DEF. मेजर ऑफ आर्क DEF यू वांट टू फाइंड. सो टेल मी हाउ डू यू सॉल्व दिस नाउ. सो इन दिस डायग्राम ये 70 है तो ये भी 70 हो जाएगा, है ना. एक आर्क का मेजर इज इक्वल टू द मेजर ऑफ इट्स सेंट्रल एंगल. उसके बाद यू कैन से दिस आर्क प्लस दिस आर्क प्लस दिस आर्क इज इक्वल टू हाउ मच? 360 डिग्रीज. इट्स कॉल्ड आर्क एडिशन प्रॉपर्टी. पूरा सर्कल का मेजर इज 360. उसमें यू कैन पुट दिस एज 200, दिस एज 70, you'll get the measure of this arc, right? And then finally you can use arc addition property to get the measure of arc DEF. So is that question clear? So let's write the solution first. So the first step is, what is the measure of arc EF? Tell me, what is the measure of arc EF? Measure of arc EF is equal to measure of its corresponding central angle. वो 70 दिया हुआ है ना, तो ये भी 70 हो जाएगा. So how do you write that? Measure arc EF is equal to measure of angle ECF. And you should write the reason here. The reason is definition of minor arc. You can also write central angle property. Definition of minor arc. So measure arc EF is equal to 70 degrees, right? Because ECF is given 70 degrees. Now step number 2. If I add all the 3 arcs, if I add this arc plus this arc plus this arc, the total will be equal to the whole circle, that's 360 degrees. So you can say measure arc DGF plus measure arc EF plus measure arc DE is equal to 360 degrees. The reason is arc addition property. Arc addition property. है ना? तो DGF is 200 degrees plus EF is 70 degrees plus measure arc DE is equal to 360 degrees. So 270 plus measure arc DE is equal to 360 degrees. ये 270 प्लस है, वहाँ पे जाएगा तो माइनस हो जाएगा, सबट्रैक्ट करो. सो मेजर आर्क DE is equal to 360 minus 270. So measure of arc DE is equal to, how much is that? Calculate now fast, come on. 90 degrees, that's one of your answer. Measure arc DE is equal to 90 degrees. You have two questions, find the measure of arc DE and measure of arc DEF. Now DE I got 90, right? Then how do I find measure arc DEF? I want DEF. So this is 90 and this is 70. So 90 plus 70 becomes 160. So how do you express that? Measure arc DEF. The next step is measure arc DEF is equal to measure arc DE plus measure arc EF. The reason is arc addition property. Arc addition property. So put the values. That was 90 plus 70. So 90 plus 70, measure arc DEF is equal to 160 degrees. Is that clear? That's the second part of your answer, second answer of the whole question. So I repeat again, this is given 200 degrees, this angle is 70, तो ये arc भी 70 हो जाएगा, ठीक है ना? फिर 200 plus 70, 270, so it's 360 minus 270, that becomes 90. Then this is 90, this is 70, then this whole arc is 90 plus 70, that's 160 degrees. Fine? So if you want in exams, you can write the final answer there. You got two answers. Measure arc EF is equal to DE, sorry. So measure arc DE is equal to 90 degrees and measure arc DEF is equal to 160 degrees. Clear to all? Let's solve one more question here. Now this is one sum for self-practice. Come on, do it everyone. Do it yourself. The question is, arc ABC are any points on circle with center O. Write the name of all the arcs formed due to these points. You can write the names of the arcs. You can write arc AB. The second is arc BC. The third is arc AC. If measure arc BC is equal to 110 degrees, measure arc BC is equal to 110 degrees. So BC is given 110 degrees. 110 degrees. Measure arc AB is equal to 125 degrees, है ना. नहीं यहाँ पे you can say arc AB plus arc BC plus arc AC is equal to 360 degrees. The reason will be arc addition property, right? उसमें 125 plus 110. Now 125 plus 110 is equal to how much? 235 degrees, है ना. तो ये दोनों का मेशर 235 है, तो ये वाला कितना रहेगा? 360 minus 235. 360 minus 235. Calculate, come on, 360 minus 235. So what do you get there? Minus 235. So 5, 2. So the answer of the arc is equal to 125 degrees. So here the answer will be measure of arc AC is equal to 125 degrees. So please write the steps and practice yourself. Check the next question. Triangle QRS is an equilateral triangle. So you have an equilateral triangle here. Equilateral triangle, all the sides are equal. So this is an equilateral triangle. QRS is an equilateral triangle. Now equilateral triangle means all the sides are equal. So QR is equal to RS is equal to QS. All the sides are equal, right? है ना. फिर they have said prove that. क्या प्रूव करना है? RS is equal to QS is equal to arc RS is equal to arc QS is equal to arc QR. Now three sides are equal. That means these are the chords of the circle. ये भी एक chord है, ये भी एक chord है और ये भी एक chord है. अगर chords equal है तो उनका corresponding arcs भी equal है, बराबर ना. Congruent chords have the corresponding arcs congruent. तो chords equal है because they are the sides of an equilateral triangle, तो arcs भी equal हो जाएगा. So अगर arcs equal है तो I can assume their measures as x degrees. So I can take this arc as x degrees, इसको भी x और इसको भी x. फिर तीनों को ऐड किया तो 360 and you get the solution there. Clear? So how do we write the proof now? Tell me. So here you can say triangle QRS is an equilateral triangle. Given. Now it is equilateral triangle, then the sides are equal, right? So you can say therefore side RS is congruent to side QS. Is congruent to side RS is equal to QS is equal to QR. They are the sides of an equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle, all the three sides are always equal. तीनों sides equal है. Now these sides are nothing but the chords. So that is chord RS is congruent to chord QS is congruent to chord QR. ये तीनों circle का chords है ना. So ये तीनों circle का chords है. This chord is equal to this chord is equal to this chord. If the chords are equal, then the corresponding arcs are also equal, है ना. So you can write that 4. Arc RS is congruent to arc. Arc और chord का नाम हमेशा same होता है. तो arc RS is congruent to arc QS is congruent to arc QR. So if the chords are equal, then the corresponding arcs are also equal. So chords equal है, तो corresponding arcs are also equal. So this arc is equal to this arc is equal to this arc. So arc RS is congruent to arc QS is congruent to arc QR. Arc RS is congruent to arc QS is congruent to arc QR. And please mention the reason there. The reason is congruent chords have their corresponding arcs congruent. Congruent chords have their corresponding arcs congruent. So they are congruent. Fine. This is one of your answer. यही prove करना है. So the first part is being done. Chords equal है तो corresponding arcs are also equal. Now since the arcs are equal, I can assume their measures are x degrees. So we can write let measure arc RS is equal to measure arc QS is equal to measure arc QR is equal to x degrees. So I have taken the measure of all the three arcs as x degree and x degree. अब ये तीनों को add किया, the sum will be equal to 360 degrees because all the three together form a circle. So you can write that for measure arc RS plus measure arc QS plus measure arc QR is equal to 360 degrees, and the reason is arc addition property. Arc addition property. So all the three measures are x, so you can write x degrees plus x degrees plus x degrees is equal to 360 degrees. So this becomes 3x is equal to 360 degrees. So x is equal to 360 upon 3. So x is equal to 120 degrees. Okay. So I got x as 120 degrees. Now here the second part is prove that measure our QRS. Now what is QRS? QRS. QRS is equal to QR plus RS. So x plus x हो जाएगा, है ना? So the last step, measure our QRS is equal to measure arc QR plus measure arc RS. The reason is arc addition property. So that will be equal to x plus x. X कितना मिला था? 120. So 120 plus 120. So measure our QRS is equal to 240 degrees. Right? That's your second answer. Clear? Hence proved. So both the parts are being done. Clear? Arcs are congruent and measure of QRS is equal to 240 degrees. Please write the steps and reasonings properly. One more sum we solve here. Here they said chord AB is congruent to chord CD. So in this diagram, chord AB is congruent to chord CD. So these two chords are congruent. Now if these two chords are congruent, then the corresponding arcs are also congruent. And your question is prove that arc AC is congruent to arc BD. You want arc AC is congruent to arc BD. तो ये दो arcs congruent चाहिए. Now पहले let's write chord AB is congruent to chord CD. So here you can say this is the given part. And this is to prove arc AC is congruent to arc BD. So let's start the proof here. Chord AB is congruent to chord CD given. बराबर? Now chords equal है तो उनके arcs भी equal है. Chord AB is congruent to chord CD, therefore the arcs are also equal. Arc का नाम वही होता है जो chord का नाम है. तो arc AB will be congruent to arc CD, and the reason will be congruent chords have their arcs congruent. Congruent chords have their arcs congruent, so the arcs are congruent. Now where is arc AB? Listen everyone now, this is very important. Arc AB. AB is a part of which two arcs? AB is the sum of which two arcs? AC and BC. You know? AC and BC or CB. And CD is CB plus BD. CB plus BD. So AB ko we can split. Arc AB ko I can write arc AB ko I can write arc AB ko I can write AC plus CB. So arc AC plus arc CB. In fact, measure arc AC plus measure arc CB will be equal to, actually arcs equal है उनका measure भी equal है. So actually हम लोग measure split करते हैं. Measure of arc AB is equal to measure of arc CD. AB को split किया है. AC plus CB, and CD will be what? CD will be CB plus BD. So CB is CB plus BD. CB is AB is AC plus CB, and CD is mesh arc CB plus mesh arc BD. CB plus BD. Now in both the sides here you can see CB and CB are same, so you can eliminate CB or you can cancel CB. So this two gets cancelled or gets eliminated, and what you have is arc AC is equal to arcs BD. So इनका measure equal है तो arcs are congruent. Henceforth. Clear? You have one more similar question you can practice yourself. Prove that arc PQ is congruent to arc SR. Arc PQ is congruent to arc SR. The question says it's a rectangle. Arc PQ is congruent to arc SR. Now, अगर वो rectangle है तो उसका opposite sides are equal, right? So in this rectangle the opposite sides are equal. So PQ is equal to SR. And if the chords are equal, then the corresponding arcs are also equal. So you can say therefore arc PQ is congruent to arc SR. Congruent chords are the corresponding arcs congruent, right? Then you want mesh arc SPQ is congruent to PQR. SPQ is congruent to PQR. So in that you can say these two arcs are also equal. Arc PS is congruent to arc QR. They are again the opposite sides of a rectangle. वो equal है तो उसके arcs भी equal होंगे. So you can say therefore arc PS is congruent to arc QR. Chords equal है तो corresponding arcs भी congruent है. Now इन दोनों में if you add PQ on both the sides, if you add PQ on both the sides, you get the second part of the answer also. So you have to add PQ on both the sides. Clear? So do this yourself. This is a self-practice question. So please solve all the questions done today. Do it yourself. Write all the reasons and the calculations properly. In the next lecture, we will discuss the properties of inscribed angle and their applications. Thank you so much. Please practice today's question and message me if you have any doubts or anything. Thank you so much.